First off, thank you for watching this video on my thesis research. During this period, I've been working for Universal Music, which is one of three major labels in the world concerning music. Specifically, I've been researching Dixter, which is the digital brand funded by Universal Music. It's responsible for all commercial activity on platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, SoundCloud, YouTube. Actually, all platforms which you could imagine Universal Music content would be included on. Now, specifically, my topic for this research was consumer behavior and consumer needs. Now, we wanted to have insights into consumer behavior and consumer needs in order to improve brand value and consumer rating of Dixter music on Spotify. Now, how did we conduct this research? Well, we started off with some desk research. We needed some desk research to know exactly what consumer behavior, consumer needs, brand value, and consumer rating meant. We then did some interviews and group meetings with personnel from both Universal Music and Dixter Music. We asked people about what they wanted to see from results, what kind of results they wanted to see coming out of this research. So, what do they want to know about people engaging with Dixter on Spotify? What do they want to know about Spotify usage in general, and so on. We then chose for an online survey. You can imagine that people using Spotify are very online sort of target group and spread out through the whole of Holland. So we chose a quantitative method and an online survey in order to reach the maximum amount of people and engage a lot of people with this research and with Dixter. We chose to promote this research on Spotify and on Facebook in order to activate people to make this survey. We chose the Typeform tool, which is a visual tool on the internet which you can use to make very attractive looking surveys. It needed to be very attractive in a way that it complied with the identity of Dixter, which is very much concentrated on making attractive content and combining that content with good music. When this research was, when these surveys were gathered, we did the data analysis, and which led to specific insights about Dixter and Spotify. And eventually, of course, this led to recommendations and conclusions about this research. Then I mentioned a little bit about the method earlier, that we used quantitative research and disk research. The target group was, of course, Spotify users, which are actually 5 million in Holland right now. So we needed a lot of respondents in order to make representative results. And let's see, we chose this qualitative research in order to get honest answers, which is mostly the case when you do online surveys. People tend not to have a very big barrier to cross in order to tell us the truth. We had a lot of earlier research by UMG. UMG is another word for Universal Music Group. About Dixter music, so we compared results from these researchers to our own research, and an actual extra about this sort of research, about this online survey, was that we engaged and we activated a lot of people for our brand and for our playlists, because we gave people a chance to win a year's subscription to Spotify if they would fill out these surveys. So we had a lot of reaction and response and click-through rate to our playlist, actually, by conducting this research, this this online survey. And now, what went right? Well, in my opinion, the analysis of earlier research and the combination of our very good-looking, attractive online survey tool led to a lot of very relevant insights for this thesis period. So I was very happy about how the survey looked, its contents, and how we analyzed the results. And then also I was very happy about this period in general because I was actually also working for Universal Music. So I was doing a full internship during my research, and I had the possibility to, well, actually to develop my professional network, and which has now led to an actual job at Universal Music. So I'm very happy about that result from this research period. Now, what went wrong in this research period? I think when we look back, our basis structure was very practical, so we didn't include that much theoretical basis in the beginning. We looked a lot at earlier research and earlier surveys in order to make our survey, and we depended a lot on input from personnel from other departments and from Dixon personnel. So I think we could have made a lot of improvements in the earlier beginning if we would have taken a better look at a lot of theory about these elements. So that could have gone better. My planning and combination of work and study could have gone better because a lot of weeks I had I was working for 50 hours a week and had very little time to work on my research thesis. And as you can imagine, in a music label, things are pretty hectic because important dates change around a lot, like album release dates or single release dates, and that makes it pretty hard to combine this with research. But actually, in the end, I was happy that I did it this way because, well, it led to an actual job in the end. Now let's see. And then the recommendations and conclusions. Well, we had a few. We combined a few results from earlier research, desk research, and the results from the survey to give relevant conclusions and recommendations, but we could have done this earlier, right when the results from the online survey had arrived, because right now I'm still working on these recommendations and conclusions right up until the last weeks, so that could have gone better in this research period. Now for creative leadership. During my research period I've been working, to my opinion, I've been working a lot on these few competencies. Now, first off, the team player. As you can imagine, there are a lot of meetings during the week at Universal Music. So we start off on Monday with our airplay meeting, which is a meeting about singles going out to radio. What priorities are there worldwide, and what priorities will there be in Holland? So you can imagine, in order to give relevant input during these meetings, you have to negotiate a lot between different departments in the business in Universal Music, at Universal Music, and you have to get a lot of input from different people in the company. So it makes you a pretty good team player to eventually give your own insights into music and what should be important for the company. So these airplay meetings and also sales meetings, which would take place during the week, are a very good way to develop your own professional team player skills, in my opinion. Then self-directing, which in my opinion started off when I was searching for my placement. I took a lot of initiative to find my ideal research company. So I took a closer look into my own network to find someone that was active at at a music label because I really wanted to be at a music label during that time. And I eventually found someone at Universal Music, actually sales CEO, through some of my friends. And I think that is a good example of self-directing yourself towards this goal. Um, and also during my research period, I of course had to self-direct a lot of things during my work days because at Universal Music, everyone communicates a lot with each other, but you eventually, in the end, have to do your own thing and give your own input. So you have to make your own structure each week following your research period. Communicator. Now, when you work at Universal Music, you have to communicate a lot with other offices abroad. So there were a lot of possibilities for me to develop my communication skills, both in Dutch and in English. We had to do a lot of press releases, specifically for Dixter Music, press releases for radio, for online sites, or our own playlists. So there were a lot of aspects in which I could work on my communication skills. You can imagine that sometimes we had to do international calls with other people from Dixter apartments, for example, in UK or the US, and we had to negotiate on which songs and which playlists were important for our company, and so on, so on. About a lot of subjects, and gave me the possibility to develop this. Now, this was my presentation. Thank you for watching, and I hope I gave you relevant insight into my research period. Thank you.